All eyes are going to be on Wisconsin this fall, not just because of the state's pivotal role in the presidential race, but it could also determine the balance of power in the U.S. Senate. These are the candidates: incumbent Democrat Tammy Baldwin and her presumptive Republican challenger, businessman Eric Hovde. The current balance of power in the U.S. Senate is tight. Democrats with the narrowest possible majority, 51-49. And recent polls show Wisconsin could change that. In late June, a Marquette University Law School poll among registered and likely voters showed Baldwin holding a narrow lead, with 52% of respondents saying they would vote for her. Now, that compared to 47% saying they would cast a ballot for Hovde, and that's why the Republicans spent today campaigning right here in the Northland. Hovde is visiting 28 northern Wisconsin counties during his Restore the American Dream tour, meeting with supporters to hear their concerns and share his political visions if elected. He says his top priorities are on inflation, national debt, the southern border, and health care. He also said if he's elected, he wants to help bring the state and nation together.
To put that in real terms, for younger people to be able to buy and afford a home, to have a good job and living wage that you can support your family on, that you're not struggling, that you can live in your community safely.
Now, this is Hovde's second time campaigning for the U.S. Senate. He ran in 2012, but narrowly lost the GOP primary to former Governor Tommy Thompson. We reached out to Senator Baldwin for a statement today. She deferred a comment on Hovde's campaign to the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. Spokespeople there provided this short statement saying, in part, Hovde insults Wisconsinites every time he opens his mouth.